Good morning, good night, I mean. Well, what is up? It's actually 7 o'clock at night on the dot, like J Rock. I love Trailer Park Boys. I really like Trailer Park Boys. What I'm gonna be doing here is I'm going to be speaking into this camera for a moment, and I'm going to discuss some stuff. I'm working on my speaking, and then I'm also trying to kind of work on stuff to help me. I'm trying to work on my memory and my ability to process my words and speak them. I have a pretty bad issue with that, and I tend to wander or not be able to think. So I am going to be sitting in here and I'm trying to talk about art that I love, the art that I make, what inspires me. And so, yeah, I love art. I have really loved art for my whole life. I've tried to make art my whole life. I can't say I've always been very good at it, and I wouldn't say I'm the greatest at it right now. There's always room for improvement. I think that it's probably one of the most amazing things ever. I mean, everything in the world is art. Intention is art. Existence is art. Everything to me is art. And I think that that is something that's very beautiful. One thing that I really particularly love is modern art. Um, and I'm pretty well versed in it. However, I've got a weak memory, so to speak it and remember it and sound like I know what I talk about, that's gonna be a little beyond me a lot of the time. I am in college right now and I study art history, but I'm kind of flippy floppy. I can't decide. I love art history, but academically to study it, what I was wanting to do was go and get at some point my master's. Um, I wanted to be able to be very educated. I love academia. I think that there's something very beautiful about academia, and I think it's very important. I think we need academics in the same way that we need tradesmen, craftspeople, people that do everything. If somebody's making all the money, we need somebody that can understand why we're making the money. And I think people don't realize that, I mean, art history is pretty huge. It's one of the biggest ways to look at history and see how we have endured as a society, in a society, and as we progress and develop in societies. And modern art is a beautiful creation to me because once you get to a point that it's like, well, we understand realism, we understand, movements, aging, that's stuff that's been mastered even both, we've always kind of, but with the developments of like all of the stuff that is like, where you get to a point, you know what I'm talking about. um Oil painting, it's like it's always wonderful, it's always been very wonderful and fantastic. To oil paint now compared to probably in maybe the Renaissance and Romantic periods, bit separate. I think that money has had a huge play, the role of power, um, and the mindset of deservingness. I think that there's a mindset of whether people or not deserve art, and I think that there's something deeper, obviously, societally to that. There's obviously, um, I mean it in the sense that it's like when it's rooted in money, you know, and that's, as it gets, but to even create art at a period of time was having to have access to money. I mean, you look at Van Gogh and he wasn't very wealthy. A lot of the reasons that he only made it by was due to the money he was able to get from his brother. I only use Van Gogh because everybody knows Van Gogh. I'm actually doing a master's study Van Gogh's Pieta right now, and I'm only at the very beginning of it. I recorded myself kind of working on his body, um, and that's fine. I think art is very beautiful, but I love modern art because it takes everything that we've already known and that we've just taken and cycled and cycled and cycled, and it opens you up to new things, absurdity. Um, I love Ben Vautier. Uh, if I butcher names, that's simply because I'm Midwestern, and also I have like kind of a speech impediment, and also my brain and my mouth and everything, there's a disconnect. My brain is kind of taken out of my head and taken in. I sometimes I believe that it's a couple of feet behind me. It trails behind me like a little puppy on a leash. Um, See, I'm already off. But I really love I love the banana, you know, the duct taped banana. I love the ready made. Um I think that it's fantastic. I think that once we got into modern art, Dadaism is the what I study. That Tristan Zara, that mm. I love Ben Vautier because he unfortunately passed away last year, but the art that he created was wonderful. I mean, one of the things that he was so well known for were I can't remember the exact name for it off the top of my head. I have a notebook I have everything written down in. But it was just like letterism. Separate from letterists, the letterist movement, he essentially would just paint words on a canvas. He had these wonderful things. He would do these beautiful, like, out there performance arts. He would travel, um and he was the banana king. Like, come on, he wanted to be that banana king. um I think it's really wonderful. I love Bauhaus, the school of Bauhaus. um I think absurdity is something that is deeply rooted in art, no matter how realistic it gets. I think that absurdity is something you must embrace, and that's something a lot of people don't understand. You know, absurdity is everywhere. As absurdity is accepting even how you have to even work with art. Absurdity is understanding sometimes to paint, you have to put all of it in your elbows. And I'm painting with my elbows. I'm not painting with my hands. I'm putting it in my elbows. That's kind of the process. I think that you have to accept absurdity in your life. Um you have to be odd. You have to be odd. I don't think I think that people have a misconception about being odd, and there people are gonna be like blah blah blah, but like, I mean, oddities create the best art, because what are you gonna look at more? This picture of Johnny Cash, a very good one. Or would you want to look at this? You can't tell, but I would look at this, because you can look at this picture. I could come and I could see this picture. I could recognize that this is Johnny Cash, and I could recognize that photograph, but it's just a copy. I can say that's a very good one. I could say he looks pretty dapper. But this, I got this from an artist in a park, and he was selling his art, and he had a really cool mohawk. And this is like a troll doll, and that's what drew me to it, because I love troll dolls. And when I asked, I was like, is that what you were trying to make? And he was like, no. And I think that is wonderful, because I mean, abstract and absurdity can push you in a direction, or it can leave you open to anything or nothing at all. Sometimes you can look at something and not understand anything that you're looking at. And I think that's wonderful. I think that's the beauty in Dadaism. Nonsense. Complete nonsense. I mean, people say that artists are weird or and stuff, but I think that there's more of a nonsensical factor to it, because you kind of have to place yourself out of this world of reality, because even sometimes to understand realism, you have to understand that you're not really painting it realistic. You're painting it to get the image across to people's eyes for it to process to look realistic. And that can show in many ways when you look at impressionism and post-impressionism, which is something that a lot of people will typically look back to as a trademark in realistic. I use realistic very loosely, because the realism, it didn't necessarily pick up in itself. Nobody was embracing true realism until maybe the 70s, in which you're going to see a lot of like hyper realism kind of. And I'm not saying people didn't, but people were wanting to more understand naturalism. You know what I mean? There's a difference between realism and naturalism, and they're like similar in a sense, whatever, but like naturalism is the natural sense of, realism is is putting down the image, but I'm sure you want the sense of what you're seeing. You want the feeling of what is occurring in there. And when you look at impressionism and post-impressionism, that's exactly what you're looking at. But when you look closer, you'll see that people had to really take in the individualized brushstrokes, all of these things, to keep it kind of there for your brain to process what it is, but also separate it into something that's not necessarily pulling itself away into this modern, because this is introducing you to modern, but it's dangling in your face. You know what I mean? You know exactly what you're looking at. You can sense exactly what you're looking at, and you can feel it too. You want to feel it come over you like a waterfall. And that's something you'll see a lot. Realism, I'm not saying you don't. Realism is beautiful. I mean, when I look at grief portrayed in realism particularly, that's something I've always really enjoyed in art, is the portrayal of grief and despair. And I know that people are going to be like, that's some like, why do you want to? And I don't think you necessarily need to be sad to like it, but you can see the beauty in portrayal. And I love to see beauty in portrayal. um, I just love to see beauty. I love to see the brain. I love to see how your brain works. I want to look at a piece of art and think that you have a beautiful brain. Um, let me see, I have a list of things that inspire me in art, and it's more so a list of things that pop in my brain and make me go, ooh. And I have many things that I want to do. I want to get into welding. I can't decide if I want to maybe dip my toe in a safe educational setting, but also I struggle a lot with my stability and ability to stably stay in situations, especially when it threatens my money or my ability to go back to education. Because one thing I want to do is, I love the idea of being classically trained. I think there's, I think I think I separate classical training and academic, deep classical training. And I know maybe it's the same, whatever. You don't need to go to school to be classically trained. In the same way that maybe you don't need to be classically trained in art school. But I believe that there's something to that. I don't think it's for everybody. But it's for me. And I would love to be classically trained in art. I want to be at least in painting and illustration. I will show you the piece of work that got me fully into wanting to do illustration. It's this Paul Cadmus. I might have said his name wrong. It's the Polo Spill Aspects of Suburban Life. Let me see if I pulled it from this picture from Artsy, which is let me fix this. I scroll that a lot. I'm trying to get off Pinterest, so I'm on Artsy a lot. I also use it because it's a wonderful way to get off of Google Arts. If anybody is like interested in practicing, I think a very wonderful way to practice classical training is obviously in a master's study, because you're studying the classics, you know? And you can choose what you master study to classically train yourself and what is geared towards you. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's so exciting, exhilarating. And yeah, I love this. There's something about the etches, the hatching, the emotion displayed on this woman in fur. It's um it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Oh, let me go back to my list. Let me peruse a little bit. Let me see if I have anything. A big thing that inspires me personally when I think about my art, I think about religion. I think about religion in the sense of mother, the mother, the grief of a mother, the grief of loss, the I think about machines. I think about the rural, you can hear my speech impediment. The rural life experience. I think of shine. I think of nostalgia in the sense of loss, but also in the sense of gain, in the sense of remembering. I love opulence. I love digging into just a piece of history that has so much importance to you that you didn't even know had importance to you until you found it. You can stumble upon it in an antique mall. You can find it in your great grandparents. You can find it anywhere. You can find it at estate sales. You can find it in other people. You can find it in everything. I love ink. I love ink. Ink is what I mostly draw in. Um, I love capture and release. I love capture and release. I love, um, I love fear. I don't like it, but I love it. I love nonsense, of course. I've already said that. I love tile. I love shine and rust put together. I love vibrance and fade put together. I love. There's just beauty in so much. I think it's beautiful. I love I love old phones that aren't connected to anything. I love clowns and circuses. I love family. I love family. And I love repetition. I love repetition. I love circles because they don't end in there. So they spin forever and they don't get tired. I love angels. I love aliens. I love space and I love spaceships and I love everything and I love creating my own meaning and understanding to things without maybe needing to always fully understand stuff exactly. I love creating my own unique existence in a world of understanding. I love to I love I love everything. I love ladders. I love up and down. I love escalators. I like elevators. I'm not so much a fan of them when they squeak. I love the 70s and the 80s for their colors. I love vibrance and floral. I love warmth. I love understanding. And I love not understanding. I love going into stuff knowing that it doesn't mean anything, or it doesn't have to mean anything, or maybe it means something, but that's not for me to know or understand. I love spider webs and I love hornets' nests, and I don't like hornets. My grandpa got stung by a bunch of hornets, and we're waiting for the spring. We're gonna get them back. I love I love iconography. I don't like Greek and Roman art. No, I'm not saying, well, I'm not saying I don't love it. I love everything. I don't like it. I don't like a lot of mythology. I love to create stories, and I love stories. I don't like Greek and Roman mythology. I think that maybe it's just me. I just don't understand it very well. So that's more of like a whoop de doo for me. I think if I understood it more, or I cared to understand it more, I'd probably be a lot more successful with art history, but I can't bring myself to. Um, at all. I love language. I love to try to learn languages, even though I think I might have suffered too many head injuries, unfortunately, but that's okay. I love to listen to people speak, and I love to watch people speak, even though I'm really bad at it anymore. I used to kind of always get in trouble by people for looking at them when they speak, and I'm finding out that's a very normal thing, guys. It's okay to look at people when they speak and make eye contact with them when they speak. A lot of times they'll actually appreciate it. Um, Instead of this, you're speaking to me. But also, I love not looking at people when they speak because that gives me more. It wakes my senses up. You know, I'm hard of hearing, so if I'm looking at you, I'm gonna read your mouth, I'm gonna read your lip, I'm gonna watch you speak. That's how I'm probably gonna understand what you're saying. When I'm not looking at you, I'm gonna take in your voice. I'm gonna take in the expression in your voice more. I'm going to hear how the words roll off your tongue. And there's intention in every way that I guess I listen to things. There's different understandings to the ways that I listen to things. I like permanence, but I also love no permanence. I love the stain of how things leave, even though I mean that is something that has a huge negative impact on my life. I believe that there's value in that, because if nothing stained, if sometimes stuff didn't feel permanent, then you'd feel like you were floating. And you can't learn when you're just floating loose, you know? I I'm gonna get water. 1 second. I love carrying small things around with me. You could say I'm a trinket person. Realistically, I just always have that stuff on me. I have this very small Our Lady of Guadalupe, about this big. And it's funny because my best friend gave it to me. And he was expecting it to be a little bit bigger, but it was small. But I love it because that means I can carry her in my pocket. I can carry the mother in my pocket, and then I'm not alone. And she's hot pink. She's hot pink. Come on. I also have like a little blue, kind of like a fidgety toy, and it's like a metallic blue dinosaur, and I keep it in my bag because I love to squish it and I love to bite it and I like to rub its little fin on me. I'm a big sensory person. I'm a big sensory person. I want to put things on my face. I want to just touch it on my face. I want to rub stuff on my face. I want to feel it. I want to feel everything. I want to feel texture. I want to feel the temperature. I love light. I love lighting. I love color lighting. I've got a green and like orangey lighting. This is more of like a sea, like kind of a blue green, and I love it. I love freeform. I love freeform everything. I'm not good at crocheting, so I always end up kind of making these crochet little claw looking things. I've made many of them. Many. I've never successfully made like I've made okay. I have made a pouch with a little K on it, and that I'm pretty proud of. But everything comes out kind of the same, very bulbous. I love mixing up professionalism with a bit of immaturity. I want to see a corporate skirt suit with some peep slippers. I love stained glass. I love Catholic churches. I love places of worship. I love um like very Spanish Catholic churches. Um there is this very beautiful one kind of near my school, and I'll go and visit it a lot. Last semester, there was like a flood, and so my art history class and a lot of the art classes were moved into this small church. And there's like a memorial garden out in front of it, and the church unfortunately has mold, so nobody they weren't gonna be able to continue holding classes. I do believe that it was beautiful. I would love to have been able to take my painting class in the beautiful room with all the stained glass where the pews would be. I love places of worship. I want to see I want to see diverse places of worship. I mean, cuz you're not just your worship like you can feel love in the walls, you can feel love through the electricity, you can feel it all, you know. When you wash your hands, you can feel it in the water. When you drink from the water fountain, you can feel it. I think that that's awesome. I love music, I love movies, I love everything. My favorite movie right now, off just like the top of my head, is um, Batman versus Dracula. I love Hellraiser 1. I love the second Hellraiser. It's beautiful. I love Vamp with Grace Jones in it. I think it's a little homoerotic. I love a double feature with Vamp and then right after Vamp, American Werewolf in London. I also feel a little bit of homoeroticism from American Werewolf in London. Um I love music. Love Me Tender by Elvis Presley. I love Bizarre Love Triangle by New Order. I love Sleep Party People. I love hardcore. I love I love monsters. I love the beauty and the ugly or whatever they call it, you know? I don't know. Maybe I just kind of love everything. Um I want to get into welding. I want to be able to make I love ready-mades. I love the concept of taking something that already exists and claiming it as art of a different matter, you know? I want to take all these things and I want to put it together and I want to say it's mine. I mean, I could take a pillow and I could make it something its own, and I could call it my ready made. Or I could take a pillow and I can say this is a ready made and it's not a pillow, this is a wall art. It's just like how, you know, when you find a cute dress or a cute bra or something and you want your room to feel like the dressing room of a circus. I mean, I have dresses hanging on my walls. I have my troll backpack, my Norfin troll little skating backpack on my wall. I have this very cute little pastel blue bra, the cutest balconette bra. I love clowns and balloons. I love troll dolls. They make my whole life. I love acrylic paint. I prefer acrylic paint over oil. I would like to try gouache. I'm not very good at watercolor, but I haven't used it in a couple of years, so I don't know. Maybe I am good at it now. I love being bad at things and then not using it and then coming back to it and being good at it. Because if you hate something enough, you start to love it. But yeah, I've been speaking for 31 minutes. 31, 31, 32, 33, 34. So I'm kind of talking. I'm hoping that I might be able to fall asleep. Here's to overcoming insomnia.